Are we good? Are we live? Okay, so it looks like there's 8 people in the stream. Guys, let me know if you can hear me. It says we're live. I think this is working. Oh, hi, guys. We've already got a couple people in the chat. Oh, that's cool. Hello. Looks like we've got Lithgow11, Craig Williams, Tim Carr. Hi, guys. So, is this working? You guys can hear okay? Hello, Isabella Lawrence. So I think we're good. I don't know if you guys can hear my cat meowing in the background. God, it's been a little bit of a bit of a crazy day so far. Hi guys, looks like we've got Nix to W, Cyclops. Hi Fiona M. I'm from Melbourne, nice. Where else are you guys from? We've got someone from Melbourne here. Hi Gareth, hey Emily, and Damien O'Sullivan. Was it Damien? Hi everyone, this Ozzy is Budweiser beer at the ready. Hello also everyone from America in this chat. I wonder if any Americans are going to join in. I'm curious. That'd be interesting. Like the time difference is huge. I think right now, so it changes a couple times throughout the year because daylight savings doesn't hit at the exact same time. So right now in Philly, it's about 3 in the morning, I think over there, 3, 4 in the morning. So I don't know if anybody from there is going to be, but never know. Milton on the beautiful New South Wales coast. Oh, nice. Melbourne, Newcastle. I've only been up to Newcastle once. The drive up there from Western Sydney was gorgeous. Absolutely love driving up there. On the way back, though, that was when our ute died on us. We were coming back from like the worst comedy show I've ever seen. It was so bad. But yeah, our ute died on us coming back from Newcastle. So that's my only Newcastle memory so far. So I love to get up there and actually, like, make it a little bit better. From Wollongong, Darwin. Oh, I'd love to get up to Darwin and see what it's like there. One of my coworkers just had a trip up there a few months back. She said it's surprising the amount of like crack warnings that you have up there. She was not expecting that, and she's Aussie born and raised. She's actually born and raised here in Western Sydney. She moved out to Cronulla, I think. Southern border ranges in Queensland. Is it Queensland or Queensland? Like, somebody let me know how that's supposed to be pronounced, because I feel like that's one of those words that I hear both ways. I'm not sure if it's like a regional thing. Let me know. Homebush, Hawkesbury, sweating in far north Queensland. Oh, it amazes me how people can live in places like Queensland and the Northern Territory when summer comes. I mean, it's bad enough here. I can't imagine. I was in Perth in 2019 and it was only like 40, 42 degrees. I was sweating to death, and some of the locals were like, this isn't that bad. You'll get used to it. This isn't that bad. We got Lisdale, Adelaide, Country of Victoria. What's that? Moonambell? Queensland. Okay. But here's the thing. So you always have to be sure, even if it's something that looks really, really obvious, like there's the state Maryland over in the States, and it looks like it would be pronounced Maryland. No, it's Maryland. So I'm always a little bit cautious, and I think it's more of a respect thing to try to pronounce it correctly the way locals do. Like, I know things are going to come across with an American accent no matter what, but I still at least try when I can. Colac, Western Victoria. We've got Brisbane. Lived in Kokomo, Indiana. Oh, Indiana. That's a state I've never been in. Love your vlogs. Thank you. I'm in Melbourne, soon moving to Toronto. We've got Mark over here who's just hovering off to the side.
I'm not hovering.
He's hovering. I don't know if you could hear him through this, but he's camera shy.
I'm not hovering.
Pop in and wave.
Hi. Just got home from work. Yep. Bye.
Yeah, he's had a long day, you guys. He got up early too and everything.
You let me shut the door?
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Have you been to the Rails Hill Shopping Center? When I was there a few years ago, there was a shop on the ground floor that says American food and snacks. No, I have not. I'm surprised how many places will have like some American snacks in them. I was not expecting that when I came over here. Like, I just went to 7-Eleven the other day. They had Reese's cups, you guys. I've never seen Reese's cups in any stores over here unless they sold like a specific section of American food. But I've seen like Easy Marts in the CBD, you'll have like a pretty decent selection of American food. There was one place at West Point that actually just closed down. I think it was called Candy Ocean. They sold some American stuff, but it was like the weird, bizarre, quirky stuff. Like I wouldn't have bought most of the stuff in there. Most Americans wouldn't buy it. I don't know where they got some of that stuff from. Warremble. So we've got somebody from Warremble. Oh, born in Uruguay. Grew up in Sydney, Lipcone, and Des Moines. Did high school up in Brisbane, then moved back down to Sydney. You've been all over. Wow. It's amazing how many Aussies have traveled like all over Australia. I've lived in all different places in Australia. It's kind of cool to see. Oh, I think us Aussies are your biggest fans, and it's refreshing to see an American realize those Australians are not a third world country. Oh, guys. But honestly, so I don't like talking smack on America. I just try to be honest from my perspective, from what I've seen. And you have to remember, I'm one person out of 380 million people I know and speak to about this stuff. You're talking about maybe a couple hundred altogether. So my experiences and my perspectives obviously do not speak for all of America. Like I'm a girl who grew up in Northeast Philly. My experiences are very different from somebody who grew up in Mobile, Alabama, or Des Moines or Houston, like very, very different. So for me, I don't like talking smack about America because I have a very limited experience, even though all Americans do to some extent have a limited experience. So a lot of Americans that I've spoken to don't see Australia as on the same level as America when it comes to economics and growth and whatnot. I wouldn't say that they go so far as to think it's third world, but yeah, a lot of them like they still see America on top and then everyone else like almost trying to catch up. Like it's like America and then UK and a couple of those European countries and like maybe Australia and New Zealand or somewhere around here. It kind of depends on who you talk to too and what the topics are. Do they see? Maybe I should try traveling abroad. Don't feel safe at the moment. I mean, that's one of the things about America. It's a lot of people almost over dramatize how unsafe it is. I think as long as you have common sense and use common sense and try to keep to yourself, then for the most part you'll be okay. Especially if you're going to some of the more touristy places, if you're going to the big cities and you're going to like Times Square in New York instead of going into like the middle of Albany, New York or something, you're going to be safe. People expect tourists and they know that there's a little bit of unease from a lot of tourists coming abroad and they're not sure how safe they feel coming over. Good day from Fairyland, Western Down, Queensland. I'm a farmer out here in the outback. Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for the work you do too. Farmers really are underappreciated, I think. How do you like driving here? I so lucky for me and also unlucky for me. I have a fear of driving. Like terrified of it. I got my license over in the States when I was 21 and I was okay with it for a little while. Was never comfortable, but I was okay. And then at one point, the car I was driving died on me going 45 miles, like so between 60 and 70 Ks down the highway. And I panicked and I freaked out. So managed to get it home. And I'm like, that's it. I'm not driving this car again. It's falling apart on me. And then my grandmom, bless her heart, she's stubborn some days. She's like, no, it's fine. Just take it to the mechanic across the street. This like uncertified mechanic who's just somebody who grew up playing around with cars and fixing cars. So he tried to fix it. And my grandma went to go drive it the next day. And as she's pulling up to a place where there's a stop sign, her brakes stopped working. And you have traffic coming 40 miles off the bridge over into Philly. So she slammed on her gas to get out of the intersection, but a truck ended up hitting the very back of the car and like crunched it in. It looked like an accordion. It was freaky. Luckily, she was okay. A couple little cuts from some broken glass, but she walked out of it okay. But after that, I was so freaked out. The next time I was in a car, I blacked out. The only time in my life I've ever had a panic attack. So I'm terrified to drive again. Okay, so let's hold back a little bit. I've got some ice here. I don't know if this is going to be any good over ice, but I prefer my drinks cold, at least if I'm drinking them straight. So I've got two here. Let me know which one you guys want me to try or combine them and see how that goes. We've got banana and toffee, and then coffee and chocolate. So let me know in the chat which one you guys want me to try. I have to pick up another coffee and chocolate one. Actually, I was showing my dad this the other day, and my dad's a huge coffee drinker. That's kind of where I get it from. I can't remember the last time my dad's ever gone a day without a cup of coffee. I don't know if he ever has. So kind of got my coffee addiction. It's a little bit of a hereditary thing we joke about. So I have to pick up a bottle of that and put that in my suitcase when we go over to the States, probably in like June or July. We haven't booked the tickets yet, but we're probably going to sometime in the next couple of weeks. I should try them. I love watching you try Aussie food. I feel like I've tried so much Aussie food. I'm like, I don't know if there's that many more comparison videos I could do at this point, but I do want to start trying just like regular stuff. I want to try making meat pies from scratch. I want to try making damper from scratch. The only problem is it's really tough to control the lighting and the audio in the kitchen. So going to work on that at some point, and when I can figure that out, I'll probably do a couple like basic cooking-ish type videos. Definitely not instruction videos. I'm definitely not a very good cook, but it'll be fun to try at least. I mean, try making them from scratch instead of buying like the frozen 4 and 20 pies or from 7-Eleven and whatnot. How do you like the food? Have you tried pavlova? Delicious dessert. So yes, I have. I can actually bake okay for an amateur, and pavlova was something I actually knew how to make back in the States. I don't remember how I stumbled across it. I made it years and years and years ago. And yeah, that's something I could actually do from scratch. Not so much in this oven. It's a really old oven. It's tough to control the temperature. But I love pavlova. It's delicious. If I need to, I'll buy like the pre-made one for Christmas or something this year, or the little meringue nests. I love that they make those here. But love pavlova. It's one of my favorite desserts. How's your dad? Thanks for asking, Damien. So my dad's doing okay. All things considered, he's still a little bit nervous about the procedures and all going on, but he's about halfway through his chemo treatments. We won't really know until like February-ish when he goes in for another round of like MRIs and ultrasounds after chemo and after radiation, how the tumor is reacting to the treatments, and he's probably going to need surgery right after that. So fingers crossed, say a prayer. Hopefully, if things go okay, he'll have surgery sometime in February or into March, probably be recovered by May into June. So he should be up and recovered and back to as close as he can be back to his old self after all of this by the time we get over there around the end of June into the beginning of July. So he'll be able to go out, be around people. We can go to restaurants and stuff like that with him. It's not like we're going to have to be just indoors with him. We can actually go out. One thing I'd love to do, my dad's always wanted to go skydiving, but my mom is very, very risk adverse. So I'd love the chance to just take him out for the day, like just me, Mark, and my dad. Let's just spend a little bit of quality time together and then go take him skydiving, but not tell my mom till afterwards. She would flip, but he would have like the best time doing it. So I would love to see that happen. Gotta go. I'm drinking wine. So I'm going to try the banana and toffee one, you guys. So let's open this one up and see if these are any good. I've never had any like of the flavored bunny rums. I think I've only had, it's not flavored, but I think I've had the overproof one a couple times. That smells really good, actually. You get a little bit of banana. It's not super strong, but you get like the caramely toffee notes to it. I say this like I'm an expert rum drinker and know what I'm talking about, but no, it does smell really nice. And it's like a nice molassesy color too. It's like a dark rum. Oh, that's dangerous. Oh, that goes down way too smooth and way too easy. That's delicious. Oh my God, I'm going to need to buy another bottle of that at some point. If you come up to Queensland, you have to go to the Bundaberg Rum Distillery. That's definitely a plan if we get up to Queensland. I guess the Asian food is a lot better here. It is. So So it also depends on where you're at in the States. Where I was from, there wasn't a lot of Asian food. I never had Indian food before I came over here on vacation back in 2019, and Mark and I ordered it one night. Like there just aren't a lot of really good Asian places unless you know where to look. If you go to Chinatown, there's a few really, really good restaurants in there. But where I was at in Northeast Philly, not a very large Asian population, and just the Chinese food, Thai food, not very good at all. Have you discovered Aussie Rules football yet? So I am probably going to be making a video on this sometime soon. I've never seen an AFL game. Not sure how it works, not sure how it's different to rugby, and I kind of want to watch a couple videos on it and go in kind of blind and completely green to see what it's actually like. So I know nothing about Aussie rules football. It's going to be interesting to see. How long did it take you to get used to the funniness of the Australian accent? So I've always loved, I mean, I know a lot of people say this, I love accents, but I do. I love accents. I think they're interesting. It's interesting talking to people from different countries too. So for me, it was pretty easy to adjust hearing it when I moved over here. um, Maybe within like the first day or two, I kind of got over it. Like it wasn't exciting, it wasn't unusual. You just get used to hearing Aussie accents. It confused me a little bit the first couple times I'd hear it on ads, though. That's where it really threw me off. Like talking to Aussies, I was expecting it, but watching YouTube videos and having the ads play with Aussie accents, that one confused me for the first couple weeks I was over here. I think that was actually in one of my very first videos that I made over here in Australia as well. Hello from the northern beaches. Melbourne or Sydney? Ooh, I could lose a lot of you guys for this, but Sydney, definitely, hands down. I I don't think I've said it on this channel before, but I've said it before. When I was here on holiday back in 2019, I was here for 3 weeks, and I was supposed to hit 5 cities originally. So it was Perth, then Melbourne, then I think it was Hobart, then Brisbane, then Sydney. So I was doing like this whole little tour, spending a few days in each city, and I canceled my trip to Brisbane. I met Mark, and I was supposed to be spending Christmas in Brisbane originally, but I'm like, I'd rather spend the extra time with him. We only have a limited amount of time together before he comes over in February for my cousin's wedding, so canceled that. And if it was up to me, I wouldn't have gone to Melbourne, partly because you only have a limited amount of time. And when you're spending a lot of time going from airports and whatnot, you don't have a lot of time to really go around and enjoy it as much. So the entire time I was in Melbourne, I did like a big bus tour. I was pretty much within 3 city blocks my entire trip. So I feel like that was almost wasted. Don't get me wrong, Melbourne, the architecture there is absolutely stunning. I wish I'd had the chance to look around and find a few more cafes while I was there. But with that trip and the way I had it planned, I would have rather spent the extra time, like spend an extra day in Perth, spend an extra day in Hobart. I wish I had done that instead. It was a little too much traveling in such a short amount of time. Melbourne's nice, but Sydney does, it feels like home to be honest. Hello from the Northern Beaches. My sister had the reverse. She met a U.S. Army staff sergeant and they married and lived in Monterey for years before finally moving to Sacramento. Good for her. Thumbs up, everyone. You need to check out the NRL Rugby League. So I know a little bit about it. We watched, I think, what are they, the quarterfinals or semifinals, and then the grand final for Parramatta. So I finally picked a team. It is the Parramatta Eels, and it's not jumping on the bandwagon of them being in the grand final this year. I figured I'd move to Western Sydney. No matter what happens with me being in Australia, Mark and I have started this journey here in Western Sydney. So supporting at least one sports team for Western Sydney, it was really between the Parramatta Eels and then Penrith Panthers, but something about the Panthers, I don't know, just it didn't sit right with me. So yeah, I am an Eels fan now. How are your metric versus imperial skills going? Not bad. So everyday stuff for the most part, I've got it down. Once in a while when I'm cooking, I might have to look up a little bit of a conversion, but for the most part, that's gotten much better than when I first came over here. Do you feel like a Westie or still just getting to grips with being Aussie in general? So I'm not entirely sure what the difference is between Westies and then people from like the rest of Sydney other than where they live. I've heard the term Westie a few times, and I don't know if it's like more of an older term that's like faded out and doesn't really matter. now so much, or if it's just something that I don't get. So I feel like I'm adjusted enough to be an Aussie comfortably. Like, and I say be an Aussie, I mean that loosely. But I don't know if I really feel like a Westie per se. I don't really know if there's really that much of a difference. When you came back from Hawaii, did you feel like you were coming home? I did. So it was, first of all, beautiful flying into Sydney Harbor. I don't think I will ever get over that. Flying over Sydney Harbor into the airport, absolutely beautiful, but it did. It really did. And I don't know how I'm gonna feel going back home to Philly, you guys. I don't know what it's going to be like flying into Philly, what it's going to be like leaving Philly and flying into Sydney. That's going to be a head trip for me. That's there will end up being at least one Philly related video. I don't know if I'm going to do a vlog. I don't know if it's going to be like a chit chat sort of video when I come back. That is to be decided, but it's going to be an interesting experience. Could you drive down to Melbourne for a weekend? No, I don't drive. What about GWS? I'm not sure what GWS is actually. Why would anyone want to go to Melbourne? Oh, you guys crack me up in these comments. I love watching your reaction videos comparing the two cultures from the USA and Australia, and I'm wondering if you're planning on doing more American culture videos. So I will. It's one of those quite touchy subjects. It's more of just a matter of figuring out how to do it and still make it Aussie also. I like doing the comparison videos. I feel like I learn a lot from it. I feel like people learn a little bit more because there's a lot of videos like that out there, but everybody does these videos differently. Everybody has a different perspective. So I will be doing some more American culture videos, both reaction videos and like my original, again, I say that loosely, my original type of videos. Do your family expect you to go back home at some point to see out your days with Mark in the US? So, my mom does not take this move easily, and she still hasn't, and has been having a lot of trouble adjusting. So, my mom, she's for some reason holding out hope that I'm going to come back. We don't have any plans to go back over there. Um, Obviously, I'm here on a visa. I mean, the reality is, even though they wouldn't have logical reason to, I could be deported at any time. So if that's the case, Mark would come over with me, but we don't see that ever happening, at least not anytime in the near future. You can't plan for everything, but that's definitely not our plan. And I think pretty much everybody but my mom has accepted the fact that I've moved over here with the plan of moving over here permanently. What's your favorite Aussie animal? So I still get excited when I see stuff with koalas on it, which I know is so cheesy and it's pretty touristy. I mean, like koalas and kangaroos, they're the first two things you think about. But I love koalas and I love rainbow lorikeets. I was not a bird person before I came over here, and now I'm like fascinated every time I see a bird here. Like we have a gum tree nearby with rainbow lorikeets in it all the time, and it's iconic. Like, how much more Australian can you get than rainbow lorikeets tripping around in a gum tree? Have you gotten used to the time zone differences? So talking between here and people back home, I have. When it's daylight savings here, it throws me off track. Some of you guys do it, some of you don't. Some of you change by like half an hour, and I still have to use that like time converter website every time I'm looking at somebody who's living in a different state. So it throws me off. Rainbow lorikeets are the best, yes. Would you ever consider starting a second ASMR channel? Your voice is super chill and relaxing. Oh, thank you. I'd honestly never considered that. I always thought ASMR was like sounds like you take a glass and then start like tapping your fingernails against it or something. That was what ASMR was. I never really thought of it as being like a voice so much. Have you been chased by a magpie? No. So I was talking to another American friend of mine actually. She doesn't do YouTube or anything like that. but she lives up in Brisbane with her husband. And she was actually asking me, like, maybe an hour before this live chat started, have you had a magpie swooping yet? Like, no, the worst thing that's happened to me with the birds so far is a bin chicken tried to steal my food once. That's been the worst thing that's happened. I hear the movie Ted when I hear your voice. I've never seen Ted, so I don't know if that's a compliment or not. Have you seen a magpie swooping yet? No, I have not. I laugh when I hear people claim Australia has too many dangerous animals. America has plenty of dangerous animals too. So here's the thing. Yes, that's absolutely true. Like America has bears and wolves. Like there are a lot of dangerous animals, like rattlesnakes. Pretty common over in the States. But I think because there's so much like American Hollywood stuff, you guys get more of a broad experience of America than Americans do of Australia. Like we have Crocodile Dundee, we have the movie Australia. There's a couple Aussie-ish movies that come up on Netflix, but for the most part, that's it. Like when Americans think of Australia, the first thing that comes to mind is Crocodile Dundee every single time because that's the most Aussie thing we have to reference in like American pop culture, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, how's Philly going in the baseball? So they're doing good. They just won game 3, so they are now 2-1. We are halfway there, so we'll see how that goes. Is your accent a typical Philly accent? I visited a while back and don't remember hearing the hard A you use, such as the word after. So it is, but here's the thing. I suck at controlling my voice. I will be honest. I can't carry a pitch, can't carry a tune, can't sing for my life. And the same thing goes with speaking. I can't really change my voice that well. It'll change without me realizing it. So one thing that a lot of my American friends have commented on, the ones who see my videos, is like, you use your phone voice a lot when you're on camera. And I'm relaxing it a little bit more the more I'm on camera and talking to you guys and whatnot. My, I guess, natural voice comes through a little bit. But I've always been told I don't have a super thick Philly accent. I just have a Philly accent. So it's mostly heard in the vowel sounds. They come across very, very flat. If you guys want to hear what a Philly accent really sounds like, there's this comedian, and most of the jokes are aimed towards people from Philly. So don't, like, if you decide to look her/him up, don't be too confused. A lot of the jokes are aimed towards people who grew up in Philly. But Aunt Mary Pat Sabatino, she does have a YouTube channel. She does like stand up comedy. So it's a guy dressed up as a girl. It's very, very obvious. Like he has a beard, 5 o'clock shadow the whole time. It's very, very tongue in cheek. But that accent that he does is a very, very thick Delco accent, which is very similar to Philly. So if you guys want to see what that is, check that out. Have you heard about the Australian-New Zealand rivalry? So I've heard like people make jokes back and forth between Australia and New Zealand, kind of the same way people from the States make jokes about Canada. But as far as the rivalry goes, no, I don't think I've heard of that. Have you had a crack at surfing yet? No, I've only got to the beach once last year, you guys, because of the rain that was here. So Mark and I went to one of the beaches. I can't remember the name of it. It's like a small little bay where we were able to take our dog with us. So we went to, I can't remember the name of it. That's going to drive me nuts. But that's the only time I went to the beach was on Christmas Day last year. Otherwise, it's been raining, and then our ute died on us in like, I think the middle of February. Yeah, sometime in February, I think our ute died on us, so we couldn't really get around that much. Late to the stream. Hey, Jen. Don't assume you're a snake. Safe from snakes in the suburbs, plenty of eastern browns and red bellies in and the cities. Yeah, so luckily I haven't run into any snakes while I've been here, good or bad, and I hope it stays that way for a very, very long time. Why don't you do a video on him, the comedian? I was thinking that. So I would like to, but a lot of the videos that they do are very, very short. And I don't know if you guys would be interested in that. Maybe I will, just out of curiosity to see if anybody likes it. But a lot of his jokes are really based towards people in Philly who grew up in Philly. So I don't know if the humor would quite translate. I might do a couple. You know what? I might do a reaction, pull a couple of his videos together and see if you guys like it at all. At the very least, you can hear what, so it is laid on very, very thick intentionally, but the idea of what a Philly accent sounds like. Oh, thanks, Cal. That's sweet of you. Rainbow lorikeets are monogamous. Last house they came every morning. All the pairs later on, the bachelors and bachelorettes, came to battle to get love. It was so cool to watch. Magpies are friendly. I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool. I had no idea. I didn't, other than penguins, I didn't think any other birds were like that. Magpies are friendly. I think so. I've heard that they're friendly if they're used to you. Is that true? Like if they're used to seeing your face, they're pretty smart birds, so they're comfortable with you. But if you're a stranger, that's when you have to worry about like swooping or something like that. Have you made a video about all the bad things you've encountered in your transition to Australian life? So I don't think I've made a video about just the bad things. I made a video before about some things that I regretted. It's a little bit of a whinging video, I know, but at the same time, it's something where I don't just make videos like with my Aussie audience in mind. I know that there are some people who are moving to Australia and whatnot, and I want people to learn from my errors and my mistakes too. So I was making that more with them in mind when I did that video. But I don't think I've done one of just the bad things. How do you like a summer Christmas? So I do like it. I was talking to my coworkers about this morning. Actually, it's kind of funny that you guys keep asking me like similar questions that people have asked me today. That's funny, but summer Christmas. So it's one of those like I love it and I also hate it kind of deals. Hate's a strong word. I wouldn't say I hate it. It's just not what I grew up with. I grew up with cold winters and Christmas being in the middle of a really cold day and there might be snow. That's what I'm used to. That's what I grew up with. So having it in the summer has been a little bit of a shock. Good and bad. It doesn't feel like Christmas when Christmas comes around for me, but at the same time, it's in the middle of summer. I love the traditions here. I love that it's so much more relaxed and laid back. And even though it is getting pretty commercialized compared to the States, it's not that bad. Like, I've heard people complain, like, oh, Christmas has become such a commercialized, like, cash grab for places. Compared to the States, it's not that bad. So, yeah, that's one of the things I actually like is that it's not as in your face commercialized. You don't have the stores putting everything up on the 1st of November, if not before that. Would you consider doing a Christmas lights vlog in December? Lots of suburbs around Sydney are known for going all out. We might. I don't know if we're really going to go around like Christmas light looking. It depends on how busy Mark is too, because Mark does. I've mentioned this in a few videos. Mark's a truck driver, and with the holidays and whatnot coming up, he's going to be slammed. So December is probably going to be a very, very busy month for him. November will be too. So we will see how that goes. I might, but that's one of those we'll see. There's no plans, but that's a good idea if it does come up and does happen. There's a funny video of comedian Carl Barron talking about the differences of what Americans and Australians call flip flops. Oh no, I know where you're going with that. I'll have to look it up and see. I'll put that on my second channel. So I think I'm going to get rid of the second channel, guys. I was considering it for a while, just keep the second channel up and just do the reaction videos over there. But a lot of the stuff that I'm reacting to is still Australian and American based. And I'm learning a lot through these. So I'm definitely not going to turn into like just a reaction channel, or if that happens, it won't be for a very, very long time. I still have a lot of like original videos that I like to do. I have a couple vlogs that I'd like to do as well. So I don't want to just turn into one of the reaction channels. I know there's already plenty of them out there who just talk about like Australian related stuff, but I like the reaction videos. I learn a lot from them. And I feel like that's part of being kind of Australian. You learn as you go. And through these videos, I'm learning a lot. So I kind of want to put the reaction videos up on there as well. Like I said, I'm not going to be able to post every day. I'm not going to turn into just a reaction channel, but I think I'm going to get rid of kind of overreacting. Are you guys doing seafood for Chrissy lunch? I don't know, to be honest. We don't really have any plans for Christmas right now. So we'll see. If the weather's nice, we'll probably go to the beach for the day. I'm not a huge seafood person, so it probably won't be seafood. Knowing Mark, it'll probably be ham, which I love. So probably be ham over seafood. What are your career ambitions? Did your US qualifications translate over here, or do you need to get additional certification to find work initially? So, funny enough, um, they didn't necessarily translate over. I had a job in the CBD lined up right before I came over here to work as a paralegal for one of the law firms. And the reason I was hired, didn't really find this out until I'd started working there. Basically, the reason I got the job was because I'd been with my last job for 7 years with that company, and he just wanted somebody who was going to be around for a very long time. And I quit after a week. So that goes to show you that didn't work out very well. As far as finding another paralegal job, it's I don't know if it's the certification that's holding me back. I haven't applied for any places that are in the CBD because the commute's way too far, and there's very, very limited jobs in Parramatta. So I had interviewed for one paralegal job in Parramatta, and that didn't pan out. I made it to the second interview round, and I don't think they liked my answer, but hey, I was being honest, so I'm not too fussed about that. I don't know if it's the certification that's holding me back, though. I have 7 years of experience working in law firms over in Philly, so I don't know if that was holding me back. What I'm doing now is very, very different. It's not in the legal field at all, and you don't need any TAFE qualification. It's like a generic office job, but I like what I do. When do you plan on traveling around the country? So if we plan on traveling around anytime soon, it won't be for a little while. Probably not until 2024, to be honest. So this year is coming to a close. Pretty much any money that we have saved up is going to go towards our trip to Philly next year. And then starting next year, we're pinching pennies next year, you guys. There's not going to be a lot of advent calendars or food videos. Like, we are going to be pinching pennies to save up for a down payment on a house starting next year and into 2024. So there's not going to be a lot of traveling. So other than that trip to Philly, which we're not going to do super, super cheap, but we're going to be a little bit cautious about how much we spend over there. We're going to be trying to save up as much as we can for a house at this point. Hey, love your channel. Unfortunately, you picked the wrong side of the country. Western Australia beaches have been voted best in Oz. Are you coming over to see the better half of the country? Big place, Western Australia. So I've been to Rottnest Island. That's the only beach that I've been to. What was it? Salmon Bay in Rottnest Island, I think, was the only beach that I've been to over there. Supposed to go to Cottesloe, but the friend that I was supposed to meet over there, she backed out because she had to go into work. She's a real estate agent, so she got called in. Obviously, you do you. You got to do what you got to do. So I didn't get the chance to see Cottesloe when I was over there, but I love to go over. Like I said, hopefully in 2024 we'll be able to do a little bit more local traveling around. I'd love to hit a few cities. I don't know if you guys would be interested in like doing meetups or something like that if I hit a couple of the big major cities when we go over, but it won't be in 2023, you guys. It'll probably be in 2024 if we can. Like I said, saving up for a house is like our big goal going into 2023, saving up as much as we can for that. I've noticed you've been increasing the amount of videos you do in recent weeks. So I don't know if it was just a sudden mood switch or something just switched on in my brain or something. I get so much more productive when the weather changes. I'm one of those people who kind of gets hit with a seasonal depression when winter starts. Everything slows down. I feel sluggish. I have no motivation. I just feel tired all the time. All I want to do is cuddle up in a blanket and watch movies and do nothing. So my productivity typically tanks, especially when it gets towards the tail end of winter. So August into September, I wasn't really doing that much. I wasn't creating a ton of videos. I just didn't have the motivation. And now that the weather is getting warmer and I've started doing reaction videos, which is exciting. It's been a nice little shift for me too. I've been able to do a little bit more. Adelaide here, and yes, Perth is a beautiful city. Spent a long time in Western Australia. Have you had the chance to see sculptures by the sea? So I'd like to. I don't know how much longer it's here for. If the weather's nice, hopefully we'd get the chance to go down this weekend and see it. I don't know if Mark will want to go or not. If not, I do have a friend who loves doing these types of walks, so I could probably give her a call and see if she's busy this weekend. Depends on what the weather's going to be. how does the public transport compare to the US? So, public transport here is a lot better than it was in Philly. Depends on where you're looking. If you're comparing it to New York and the tube, no, it's not nearly as good as like the tube in the UK, the subway in New York and whatnot. Not as good as it is there. But compared to what it was in Philly, yeah, it's a lot better than it was in Philly. I just wish that they'd go on strike a little bit less over here. I'm from Western Sydney and I've been from the working class suburbs. Have you considered touring the lesser known aspects of this nation? So, again, I'd love to. It's just a matter of actually getting out and finding a place to go and do it. I work a regular 9 to 5 job, so I'm kind of limited to just the weekends. And then it's a matter of, okay, well, where can I go? What can I actually look at? I just want to pull a camera out and do like a walking tour of a neighborhood or something like that. So, I would like to at some point. It's just a matter of figuring out where to go and what to do and what I'd want to see in those places. What part of Sydney would you like to live in? Any place that's like a 5 minute walk from a nice beach. Adelaide, great wine country. So I've heard. I don't. I'm sure I've had a South Australian wine at some point. I just can't remember off the top of my head. I wouldn't mind a meetup, but I don't know if I would have the time. It's understandable. With believe me, I know people are so busy these days. Whatever happened to that loud fish tank or some kind of water pump? My ears are still hurting from that video. Ooh, sorry about that. So we do still have the fish tank. The fish tank is on the other side of the house. It's one of the reasons why I don't film a lot in the living room, the sitting room where I was at for those videos. The fish tank is so loud. It's a very, very echoey room and it's a very open space. So it's not like you could just throw a couple blankets on there and it's going to muffle or soak up a lot of the sound. It's just a very, very open design. So unfortunately, you'd be hearing the fish tank, which is why I film more in here in this office. And we've worked on sprucing this place up a little bit more. So the videos come out a little bit nicer. I think I can see how the Oz accent can make funny things people say sound funny or just a random thought. Yeah, maybe. There's some words like once in a while Barker will say something that's so Australian it catches me off guard, and I can't think of an example right now. But if I do, if I remember it, I'll let you guys know or type it up in the chat later. But once in a while he'll say something, and I'm like, oh, that's so Aussie. Good evening from the Atherton Tablelands, far north Queensland. How's married life treating you? It's been great. To be honest, it doesn't feel any different. Like we have one gorgeous day, perfect for us, very chill, just small group, little intimate group, family and friends. Absolutely loved it. And be honest, it hasn't felt any different. Like we have rings on our finger. I'm going to work on changing my last name over once I start my visa. Long story behind that. But yeah, otherwise it's felt the same, and that's been great to be honest. Oh, Cal, thank you. That's so sweet. How did you meet an Aussie hubby and why? So I was coming over here for holiday in 2019 and I booked like the flights over back in like March of 2019. So I've been planning the trip for a while, had all the in like the not inter the domestic flights, had all the domestic flights booked, had a lot of my hotels booked, all that was ready to go. And I'm like, I'm single. Why not go over there? Why not meet some people? Try to get a little bit of inside information. Maybe even go on a couple dates. Maybe meet some locals or something like that. Just keep it chill. And then I ended up matching with Mark. So I don't know if they still do. Obviously, I haven't been on Tinder since 2019, but Tinder used to be able to pay, I think, $10 a month, and you could put your pin anywhere in the world. So I was going to a couple cities that I know I was going to stop at and talk to a few people there. And then I met Mark. And then after, was it 2 weeks, we deleted the dating apps. We became like exclusive official towards like the beginning, middle of November. And then we just deleted the dating apps, became Facebook official before even meeting in person. It's a very uncommon story. It's very unconventional. We've always been kind of an unconventional couple, and I kind of love that for us. But that's how we met. We met on Tinder. We were talking for about 5 weeks before I came over here. I spent like an hour and a half with him in Sydney Airport. We got coffee, talking the whole time. Just it was we finally got the chance to meet, but I'd already had everything booked. So he was meeting me at the domestic terminal before my flight over to Perth. So we only had like 90 minutes to spend with each other. And then I spent almost 2 weeks traveling around Australia for a little bit. And then I came over to Sydney and we spent 11 days together. And that was my holiday from 2019 into 2020. And then we all know what happened with the pandemic. So we were long distance for almost 2 years before I came over here. So bit of a long story, but that's how, and he's why. You might find that rural is cheaper for housing. It is, but we also have to factor in jobs. The depots that Mark can go to, the type of work that Mark plans on getting into in the next year or two. My job, I still have to be able to get into the CBD at least once a month to meet up with everybody. I think November is going to be the most I've been going into the CBD for work since I was working that really crap law firm job in January. So I have to go into the CBD. Sorry, guys. So I have to go into the CBD a couple times in November this month. So I have to be cautious of how far out I can go and still have it be practical living wise. So if it means we have to save up a little bit more, wait a little bit longer, we will. We have to be practical about jobs and whatnot too. So I have to go. Okay. Oh, bye. See you. Uh, Tasmania and great hillsides, forest and wildlife. I'd love to get back out to Tasmania. Hobart was gorgeous. I'd love to see a little bit more of Tassie. You should do a video about making Thanksgiving dinner. So the Thanksgiving dinner we were planning on has been very, very much downsized, you guys. We were planning on like having this big, huge thing with all of this extended family and friends, the people that we couldn't invite to the wedding. And then we're like, okay, well, we'd have to rent a hall and we'd have to get like 4 turkeys, but then there's only so much oven space. Like ovens over here are a little bit smaller than they are in the States. And when you're cooking a full turkey, pretty much takes up the entire oven and it takes hours to cook. So it'd be really, really tough to cook all that turkey with all those people. And then if you get it catered, it's so expensive. So we're like, it's not worth it. So we're just going to do a little thing, just the two of us, probably like one of those frozen turkey breasts from Woolies. I'll make a couple sides and maybe do it then. So if I do something at home, I'll do a little video on that. But the big Thanksgiving dinner we were planning on having has been scrapped. Queensland famous worldwide. No need to mention beaches. Climate tropical, lovely. The money that goes into overseas couples being able to live together is unbelievable. Probably sometimes makes otherwise lifelong couples have to call it off. Unfortunate. That's true. I know a lot of people who have had to break things off because of the cost, and with COVID, when the borders were closed, they couldn't do it. Like over 2 years before the borders were open for a lot of people, that's putting a huge strain on a relationship, you guys. So I will do a video. I actually took off work the 15th of November because that's when I'm going to apply for my next stage of my partner visa. And I didn't want to have to worry about like rushing to get it done before work or doing it on my lunch break or being exhausted and then doing it after work. So I took the whole day off. I'm going to do it properly, and I'm probably going to do one, if not a 2-part video, depending on how long it's going to be, showing you guys what it's like applying for it. Obviously, not putting any personal information out there on the internet, but what the forms look like, what we need to upload, what to expect, describing the types of partner visas, some of the myths about partner visas and being married and getting citizenship and PR right away. There's so much misconception that a lot of Aussies think it's a lot simpler and a lot easier than it is. So I'm going to end up doing a video on that, probably come out like mid to late November. If not 2 videos, I'll just do like part 1 and then part 2 come out the same day or something. So I will let you guys know a little bit more about the partner visa process. It's very long, very lengthy, and I won't get into it in this stream. I could probably spend like the rest of the stream just talking about that. Where else in the world have you traveled to? So I'll be honest, you guys, I haven't been a huge world traveler. I wish I was, but I've been lucky enough to go to England. I was in London for a little while and Stratford-on-Avon, and I've also been to Paris and Normandy. Absolutely love Normandy. Beautiful city. But other than the States and those 2 other countries, those are the only places I've been so far. So we were supposed to go to Spain in May of 2020, but we all know how travel plans worked out in 2020. Do you have a good pumpkin pie recipe? Not really. The last pumpkin pie I made, it didn't turn out very well, and it's been years since I've made it. I I don't know what happened to the recipe that I used to use is the problem. I used to make one for my cousin. He's diabetic. So whenever they came over for Thanksgiving, there weren't any desserts he could have. So I used that Splenda artificial sweetener that's safe for diabetics. So I used to make a pumpkin pie with Splenda in it so that way he would actually have something to eat. But I have no idea what happened to that recipe. And the last one I tried, like it ended up sort of burnt on the top. So sadly, no. I do have a decent pumpkin cheesecake recipe, but not pumpkin pie. Maybe you should try going to my church as they're doing Thanksgiving service and catering for a large group to celebrate its 50th anniversary. Well, that's nice that they're doing a little Thanksgiving dinner. There's also a group, Americans in Sydney, who will do American themed parties. Like they just did a Halloween party. They do a Thanksgiving lunch for people. They throw a pretty decent 4th of July party. We couldn't go this year. We might go next year. Oh, no, we can't go next year. We'll be in Philly next year. The city in Melbourne, very commercial, lovely old buildings, great winter sports. Very, very true. Never understood the whole turkey thing. I'm not sure why turkey, to be honest. Maybe because Christmas is so close and ham's a pretty traditional Christmas food. I'm not sure why turkey, to be honest. How much of the US have you seen? Not much. I'll be honest, you guys. I have fingers left over counting how many states I've been to. I haven't traveled too much around the US, so wish I'd had the chance to, but also I'm not that fussed. There's so much of the world to see that I'm not worried about the fact that I haven't seen too much of the US. I'll see more of it eventually, but not right now. I wish you all the best getting your citizenship. Thank you. It's going to be a very long process, you guys. I still have so the earliest I'll be able to apply for it, and it might even be longer than this, depending on if they change the rules and move the goal line back farther. I'd be looking at December 2025 is when I'd be able to apply for citizenship at the absolute earliest. And again, they might change the rules. There might be something that I'm missing. So we will see how all of that goes. Have you been down to Wollongong? Have you got down to Jervis Bay? So I have not. We've gone through Wollongong before. We've been to Kiama. We've been to the Kiama Blowhole twice. Absolutely beautiful there. We were there once for sunrise. It was absolutely stunning. Loved it. The only time I could think of, I don't know if it was in Wollongong or just near Wollongong, we went skydiving around there. I don't know if it was in Wollongong itself though. Well, turkeys are native to the US. Turkey is native to the US, and it was plentiful in the early days. I'm late, so sorry, no worries. Do you think Australian media talks about US politics too much? I think they can be too nosy sometimes. Um, so I feel like they highlight the worst of American politics, if I'm going to be honest. They talk about it a lot, yeah, but at the same time, American politics does affect a lot of stuff that happens globally. So I can understand why they talk about American politics so much. I feel like they intentionally highlight the negative stuff, though. Any old Aussiesms you've picked up? Actress Kate Walsh, who now lives in Western Australia, said she started ending sentences with hey, like they do. And some areas of Sydney just end a sentence with but. So it's this thing about the Australian accent where when you're finishing a sentence, you kind of lift your voice up at the end. So it almost sounds like a question. And I've caught myself doing that a little bit. So that's really the only Aussies I can think of. There's some words that I say pretty regularly now that I didn't before. I say thongs pretty regularly instead of flip flops. I say no worries all the time and don't really think of it. I've gotten used to saying arvo. So small words like that that I've caught on to, but that's really been about it. At least that I've noticed. There's probably some stuff that other people have noticed, but that's the only things that I've been able to pick up on. How are you finding the Blacktown coffee culture? I didn't realize there was Blacktown coffee culture. I just bought an espresso machine, and that's been like the best purchase I've made so far this year. So before that, if I wanted to treat myself, I'd go over to 7-Eleven and get like a latte or something. That was like the most I could do. There aren't really a lot of coffee places near me, so I'm not sure how Blacktown's coffee culture is. It'd be funny to bring Ash up here and have her like try to find a few coffee places nearby that don't suck. Are you still eligible to vote in the US elections from here? Will you vote on the midterms? Hell yes. If they're going to make me pay taxes, I am going to fucking vote. That is how I see it. They tax American citizens abroad, and even if you are under the threshold where you have to pay taxes, you still have to file taxes, which means for the most part, you have to pay a tax professional who knows American taxes over here, and it costs a good bit. Like, is there a moth behind me? I keep seeing that in the screen. So it's going to cost a little bit for me to do my taxes every single year, and if they're going to make me pay for that, I'm going to use every single rate that I've got as often as I can. Also, they named it Canberra because it's a local Aboriginal word for meeting place. I have heard of that. Speaking of cinnamon, I had a whole pack of cinnamon bun flavored Oreos. Oh, those are good. I've had those. Not my favorite, but they are very, very good. Yeah, there's definitely a moth in here. Sorry, guys. Squirrel. Love your use of whatnot. What would you say are the big differences between American and Aussie cuisine? Oh, so obvious one's the portion size. Let's get the obvious one out of the way. So American portions are typically much bigger than Aussie portions, but as far as cuisine, there's no meat pies over in the States. Pies are always sweet over in the States. Nobody thinks of pies as a savory food at all. And I can't remember any place other than two that sell meat pies. Well, and both of them were Aussie themed. One of them, I think, closed after the pandemic. There was this bar in New York called the Australian Bar, and they sold basically like little meat pies and whatnot, pretty much typical Aussie pub food. And then the other one just opened up in Pennsylvania in Royersford. Funny enough, the father of the owner commented on one of my Facebook posts a while, or not Facebook posts, my YouTube videos a while ago. They opened up a bakery called True Blue Aussie Bakery. So I'm planning on going there with a friend of mine who lives in the area. And if I can, I'll do a little bit of a video vlog there. She's the mother of my goddaughter. She's been my friend since high school. So it'll be my goddaughter, and she'll have a pretty newborn baby at that point, a couple months old. So my goddaughter's going to be a big sister. Very, very exciting. So if they're up for going out for a little bit, we'll probably go over there, and I'll try to film what I can and keep the kids out of it and whatnot. But I'll see if I can actually film that. The Australian bar in New York is so cliche. It is. You walk in there and it does feel like a walking cliche. But at the same time, I wasn't planning on finding it. I was walking around New York and found it. I'm like, you know what? I'm hungry. I'll stop in here for lunch, and they had Aussie food. So only like one of two places I found that has Aussie food. That seriously, like of all times for a moth to actually land on me has to be live. And I'm sitting here worried about magpies swooping, and I've got a moth landing on my head. Oh gosh, you guys, lovely. If anybody knows how to get rid of moths naturally that wouldn't hurt like pets or anything around, please let me know. It's not like that we have a moth problem, but there are quite a few around here. I'm personally not a fan of our mainstream media in Australia. Are you really fond of the way our media portrays America? No, to be honest, I feel like so Aussies get a little bit more of a sense of what America's like than the other way around. Americans really don't know anything about what real Australia is like. But I feel like all of America is portrayed negatively. And there's so much good things about America, you guys. I know even I tend to talk about it a little bit negatively in my videos, but that's because of the stuff I'm comparing it to. There's so many good things about America. And I feel like the Aussie media just completely ignores that. I think because it's mostly news. So you'll see a focus on politics, and then you'll see a focus on major events, and all of the major news events are negative events. So you're not going to see a lot of the positives of America through mainstream media over here, but there are a lot of good things about America. Market the fly spray. Yes, killer moth. Oh, you guys. Try mothballs. I should. Where do you get mothballs from? Bunnings, I guess? A bogong moth? I've never heard of that. Is that like one of those like big, massive ones that's like the size of a dog or something? Don't be afraid of magpies. Become friends with them, and they will love you forever. Yeah, but voting is empty. It's like a giant douche or the German sandwich. A little bit. I mean, with the electoral college, it pretty much is when it comes down to presidential elections. I swear, if you land on me again, stay away. How do you like not needing to dip? It's so much more convenient, you guys. I don't know about cheaper in the long run, to be honest. but it is so much more convenient not having to tip and also not having to worry about what the tax is going to be at the end of the bill or thinking about the tax. Like when we had our wedding, I knew that whatever people were drinking, like we'd already prepaid for the food. So drinks were on a per consumption basis. So we only had to pay for the drink tab at the end of the night. And that was so much easier than having to worry about, okay, well, what are the taxes they're going to slam on us at the end? And what's the extra gratuity going to be? No, we knew we had to pay a 10% gratuity. But anytime you go out to like a regular restaurant or something, if it's a small group, you don't have to worry about that. It's so much more convenient. And on top of that, it feels, I don't want to say like it feels better. It feels like you're, I don't quite know how to describe it. I don't feel like I'm being cheap by not giving a tip. Whereas over in the States, I felt bad if I had to give less than a 20% tip. Like if it was bad service or something and I only gave 15%, I walked away feeling guilty after spending my money and an hour in a restaurant. You shouldn't have to walk away with that guilt in your mind after a nice meal. We had snow yesterday, only a couple of hours west of Blacktown. I heard that. So I heard like up in the Lithgow area that there was a little bit of snow. They're harmless. Catch them in your hand and throw them out the back door. I could. The problem is, I feel like the moths are a little bit faster than me, so I'm not very coordinated when it comes to catching bugs. About 50 minutes southwest of Lithgow. Okay. Funny enough, here when it comes to our local politicians, it's described as the choice between dysentery and diarrhea. I mean, I've seen enough Aussie politics in the news over the last couple of years. I can believe that. Have you heard of the YouTube channel Aussie Man Reviews? He swears a lot, but such a crack up. Oh, I've seen a few of his videos. So I still remember this when I started dating Mark and came back to the States. A couple of my coworkers had watched it, and two of them had recommended that channel when I came over. So, like, I was telling people, like, look, I met an Aussie, like, we're dating, it's long distance. And a couple people were like, oh my God, Aussie Man Reviews. Like, is he like that? I'm like, I don't think Mark's like that, but the channel's pretty funny. So I have heard of it. I've seen a couple videos. What kind of timeline are you guys thinking on for kids, or is the plan to stay kid free and wealthy for life? Right now, the plan is a house. That is our plan. So, saving up for a house down payment, saving up for the house deposit. I'm just worried about getting priced out by the time we actually save up for a deposit. It feels like it's one of those you can't really win unless you're already in the game kind of systems, but we'll see. You never know. It snows every 2 years in Western Australia called Bluff Knoll. Never heard of that. I didn't realize it snowed anywhere in Western Australia. I thought that was like there's only a couple states where it ever actually snowed, period. And I thought like Western Australia, Northern Territory, and Queensland never got snow. That's good to know. What are you drinking tonight? So I've got my banana and toffee Bundy, which is it goes down really smoothly. I've been careful not to like I could probably drink this whole thing right now. It's really good. A little bit water. I probably should have kept drinking it. But very, very good. A little bit of banana taste. The toffee isn't too strong. It just adds like that caramely sweetness to it. And you get a little bit of a banana aftertaste, like that after note to it. But it's not like 99 bananas where you open it up and it just smacks you in the face. Like I did that advent calendar unboxing and the banana one. Ooh, that smells like banana. I love the US. I just came back from another road trip in the Northeast, seen 36 states now. I loved Philly. Should have been the national capital. I know. It really should have been. It's the birthplace of America. But yeah, obviously, politics gets in the way. If you guys have ever seen Hamilton, it kind of delves into that a little bit more. But Philly was the capital for a short period of time, like right when the country was first founded. Beautiful place. So if you ever get the chance, old city in Philadelphia, gorgeous old historical buildings, historical homes. Absolutely love walking around there. Housing prices are predicted to drop by 18% in the next year. I'll believe it when I see it. When do housing prices ever drastically drop that much? I mean, I'd like to see some sort of relaxation where we can get our foot in the market somewhere, but I don't see them ever dropping by 18%. I wish we'd actually get into the market that way, but that would also be like a symbol of a huge recession and that would cause a lot of problems. So as well as like damned if you do, damned if you don't. So salted caramel one is the best one. I almost bought that, but I was a little bit wary of it because salted caramel can be way too salty or way too sweet. So I wasn't quite sure. I might now that I've had this one, and when I open up the coffee and chocolate one, I'll see how that one goes. But it depends on how those ones are. If the coffee and chocolate one's good, then I might actually give the salted caramel one a try. Like I said, at the very beginning of the stream, I do have the chocolate bundy as well, and I have to buy another bottle of this to bring over to my dad. So my dad's a rum drinker. He typically drinks Captain Morgan spiced rum. And before I came over here, I was living with my parents for a couple of years to help them out with my great great aunt who was living with them. She had pretty moderate dementia at the time, and then turned severe. She's now in a full time care facility over in the States. So we will go see her when we go over there as well. But my dad is a rum and coke drinker. So he got me into it. I wasn't really a rum drinker before, but my dad wants to try the coffee and chocolate Bundy rum. So I have to definitely buy a bottle and bring that over for him. House prices are dropping, but interest rates are going up. Yeah, definitely. Have to go to either drop the kids off at the pool. Bye. Have fun. Have fun at the pool. I don't know if I'm accurate, but Aussies moving to USA should have a good chance of a citizenship test from growing up with US TV. I'm not sure how hard the US citizenship like tests and stuff like that is. I don't think it's that difficult. I think there's a little bit of like political and historic based questions you'd have to research and know, but for the most part, it's really not that bad. Well, Philly is like Melbourne, both were a capital city. I didn't know Melbourne was a capital city. Oh, interesting. The caramel's a nice balance, and also the rum ball is really good as well. So I've never had rum balls, and I don't know how rum ball liquor would taste. Like, is that so? I looked up the recipe a little while ago, and of course, I can't remember it now, but I think it was like rum. There was chocolate involved, and then there was coconut involved. So is it like a rum chocolate coconut kind of flavor to it? As you work from home and work as a truck, you don't need to stay in Sydney. Country areas are generally more affordable. Ugh. Like I said, I do have to be able to actually get into the CBD once in a while, though, and Mark needs to be able to find a place where there would be a depot nearby. There's always going to be like, there's always going to be work for truckies, but like I said, I need to find some way where I can actually get into the CBD relatively easily too, and through public transport. So that's kind of our little bit of a tricky situation. Like, I don't think we could go much further than, say, the Blue Mountains. Absolute, like, farthest we can go. Do you prefer spirits to beer? Absolutely. I'm not a beer drinker at all. I hate beer. I prefer, like, cocktails and spirits over wine. Still love wine, though, but I can't do beer. I mean, if you guys really, really want to see me drink a beer, let me know, and I'll do, like, a VB review in one of my videos or something. But, yeah, I'm not a beer drinker. Captain Morgan is like weak and stale tea bags compared to Bundy. So I wouldn't quite go that far. I like spiced rum. I grew up on spiced rum. So Bundy has no spice to it, obviously. But most rums that you get in the States are spiced rums. They're either white rums or they're spiced rums or they're really, really dark rums. So Bundy is in this weird mix of rums that you don't typically find over in the States. So I think part of it's just what you're used to drinking, what you've had for a long time. Will admit I drank a few straight booze bottles a couple years ago, 2020 being 2020. Oof, that's relatable. What do you think about voting being compulsory in Australia? I actually like it more because I know that it's a little bit of a controversial topic, but I like that it's not just going to be the people on the fringe ends of things coming out to vote. As it's saying, connection is unstable. Please wait while we try to reconnect. Is it paused? Is it working? Are we back? I just got a notice that said that my internet was unstable and took a second to come back. So, yeah, as far as compulsory voting goes, I actually like it because the fringe, like major wackadoos on both sides of the spectrum, aren't the only ones who are showing up to vote. At one stage, they were considering making Rockhampton the state capital instead of Brisbane. Oh, did not know that. Have you tried a flat white coffee? Yes, I do like flat whites. They are very, very good. VB is the worst beer in the world, and I say that as a Victorian. I've never had a good beer, so I will take your word for it. Working again now, still working. Okay. All right, that's the NBN for you. Oh, God, ain't that the truth? So when Mark moved over here, July of 2020, before I came over, it took a month for NBN to come out and set everything up. So for a couple of days, maybe a week, he was still able to get internet back at the old place while he was moving things over here. But then he basically had no internet for like 2 or 3 weeks. And he'd just gotten out of surgery, and there's nothing to do at home. I don't know how he did it without going crazy, but he had like no NBN here for 2 to 3 weeks. The only point of VB is their theme tune is good. And we're back. Welcome to the Kind of Australian Show. I drink Cooper's. So I've seen Cooper's. Like it's a pretty common one that I've seen in the pubs and obviously bottle-os and whatnot. But it's like Cooper's, Great Northern, and Chewy's are 3 like big ones that I keep seeing over and over again besides VB. I remember I was in Hobart at Cascade Brewery and did a little brewery tour over there. Again, not a huge beer drinker. Their cider was pretty good, and as far as beer goes, I guess it's pretty good. I mean, it was drinkable. I was able to actually finish a glass, but I definitely wouldn't pay for it or go back for another one. But yeah, Cascade's actually pretty decent from what I've had. But that again, I know nothing about beer, so. Compulsory voting creates an interest in politics with the people who normally don't touch it. True. I mean, it does sort of force some people who actually care to look into it a little bit more. Whereas I know some people just, like I said, they show up, they write their name, and then they don't even bother to actually vote. So, what was it? Ozpaul? Ozpaul Explained. It's a YouTube channel that goes into Australian politics. He's very, very non-biased. He does such a good job of actually explaining how Australian politics works, how voting works, how parliament works. Very, very good channel, you guys. So if you're just interested in how Aussie politics works without the biased bullshit that comes with a lot of those videos, check out Ozpaul Explained. He does a very good job. Any chance of you sharing a family cheesesteak recipe? So, I will be honest, you guys. The way a lot of people from Philly make cheesesteaks isn't necessarily homemade. The rolls are Amorosa rolls, which you could buy anywhere, grocery stores, bakeries, very, very easy to find over there. The steak itself, you can make it yourself with like a flank steak, but there's frozen meat. It's called steakums. It's literally what it's called, what it's made for. It's cheesesteaks. So just thin frozen sheets of meat. A lot of people use that. You just cook it on the skillet. Some people make up fried onions on the side. Some people do it while the meat's cooking. And then that's really it. Meat, throw some cheese on there, a little bit of fried onions, and scoop it onto a slightly toasted roll. Very, very easy. Unfortunately, because you can't get the rolls or steakums over here, it's a little bit difficult. So it's not quite the same. If you're in Western Sydney, Fat Frank's does a very, very good job. Oh, thanks, Cal. You are Aussie. Tim Carr, how long are you on here for tonight? So I just realized it's 8:15 already. I'll probably stay on until about 8:30, you guys, and then log off. So I am going to start doing monthly live Q&As over on my Patreon, which is as low as $2 a month, all the way up to $10 a month. So a little bit of a shameless plug. I know, obviously, it's a little bit tight for some people, so no worries, no fuss. But once a month, I'm going to do like a sort of like half-hour-ish live Q&A with anybody who's over on Patreon. And shout out to Jim, who's my very, very first patron. Awesome to see. So if you guys want to do like a little bit more of a live Q&A, I'll do them with like big milestones. I'll definitely do something big when I hit 10,000 subscribers. But once a month, I'll probably do a live Q&A over on Patreon.
What are you on nachos?
Oh, 1 second.
You want nachos?
Chicken. Miles also no be good. I got you. Thank you. Sorry guys, just ordering dinner. Any plans to do another meetup with Ashley Faye? No plans at the moment. Hopefully, we will soon. And then it would be me going over to Hobart, hopefully, this time. So she can show me around, show me some of the coffee places. And that would be nice. I'd love to go back to Hobart again. I'd love to go down there with Mark and spend a couple days there and do like a day with Ash and go around and check out some of the coffee shops and check out the markets and whatnot. So, no current plans, but definitely something that I'd like to do soon, preferably like while it's warm down there. I do not want to go to Tassie in the middle of winter. Have you ever met an American who likes Vegemite? Tell them they're far more Aussie than me. I hate this stuff. Oh God. So I actually like Vegemite. I There's only one person who really tried Vegemite that didn't like it. That was my dad, and he made the mistake of eating it off of the butter knife. So yeah, not the way you want to try Vegemite for the first time. And then I made it for him on toast, and I think because he still had that taste in his mouth, he was just like, "No, this isn't for me." It's an acquired taste, you guys. If you didn't grow up with it, are your pets fighting? No. No, pets are all good. There's some pretty strange names of places in Oz. Yes, so there definitely are. And I'm going to be doing a video on that soon. I do have a couple of very, very interesting Aussie place names. Do you have any advice for an Australian that is interested in dating an American? Um, Go to America. That's going to be the easiest way. I mean, do you want to date an American? If you want to meet in America, sign up for a couple of dating apps, say that you're Australian, that you've got the accent, and see who swipes right. I mean, I'm not saying that's going to guarantee anything, but your best way to meet an American is to actually go to America. So, like I said, I don't know if they still do it. Tinder used to have this like Tinder passport thing where you could put your geolocation anywhere in the world. So maybe give that a try, see how it goes. Other than that, that's all the advice I got for you. Americans are so different that it's tough to say, oh, if you do this, this, and this, they're going to be interested. I mean, it's the same way with Aussies. Not everyone's going to be interested in the same thing. There's a good cheesesteak place in Lawson, just up the road from you. Were you a Geno's girl? Hell no. So Geno's and Pat's, no, you don't do that. Do you ever go to Philly and you want a cheesesteak? Avoid the touristy places. You can literally go to any corner store pizza place. It's the exact same, if not better than Pat's and Geno's. The best places I've had cheesesteaks. I love Steve's in Northeast Philly. Cash only place, always huge. Jim's wasn't bad. Again, still a little bit touristy, but at least the cheesesteaks were decent. D'Alessandro's in Roxborough. Oh my God, their cheesesteaks were so good, but it's really, really far, like out of the way from the touristy areas. So you're definitely gonna have to get an Uber or a couple buses to get all the way out there, but definitely worth it. You're more Aussie than me. There it is. Like PB&J would be a very acquired taste. Yeah, probably. So I bought Mark this combined peanut butter and jelly in a jar thing. So it was like streaks of peanut butter, streaks of jelly, and it did that all the way around the jar. I wasn't a huge fan of that as a kid. Like you have to keep the peanut butter and the jelly separate for the most part. Something about that peanut butter just had a weird taste to me. But I'm like, you know what? It's all in one jar. Let him try it, see if anyone likes it. He thought it was disgusting. So it probably is very much an acquired taste. Have you ever watched Home and Away? No, I have not. Is that available on Netflix? I haven't seen any of Home and Away. I've heard of it, but I haven't seen any of it. You personally knew somebody who starred on Home and Away. Oh, cool. Is it a TV show? I assume it's a TV show and not a movie. Just curious, what's the experience of time difference in Australia when you're calling family and friends back in Philly? I'm in Germany now. Oh, wow. And it's like 6 hours, and I feel everything earlier. So for me, I have to call like in the morning, and then for them, it's the evening. So there's always going to be a little bit of a difference depending on the time of the year. It could be like as little as a 14-hour, as much as a 16-hour difference. So if I'm calling them in the morning, it's the evening the night before for them. Once in a while, I can do it the other way around and call them later in the evening, but it depends on the time difference. So right now, with the time difference, it wouldn't really be feasible for me to call anybody in the evening my time, but I call them in the morning and it's the evening for them. So it still works out. Oreos or Arnott's Delta Creams? I haven't had a Delta Cream. There's a lot of Arnott's biscuits that I haven't had yet, actually, and I love Oreos. Mega stuffed Oreos. I wish you guys had those here. I'm just saying they're basically a triple stuffed Oreo. Of all things that should be imported from America, mega stuffed Oreos. Definitely something that should be brought over here. Any Aussie shows or films that you like? So I love The Castle, not just for nostalgia reasons, but it is such a good movie, you guys. Absolutely love it. Australia, absolutely love that movie. Baz Luhrmann, can never remember which comes first, directed it. Fantastic movie, you guys. Absolutely love it. Mark and I watch it once in a while. So good. To be clear, more Aussie, I refer to you liking Vegemite. Yeah, Vegemite's good. Everyone's saying Home and Away is on channel 7. I don't think we have cable. I'll have to double check, but I don't think that's available. I'm not sure. Hey, Kaitlyn, is US peanut butter sweet or is it yummy, salty flavor like Mega Crunch? So it's very sweet. Depending on the brand that you get, the sweetest peanut butter I've ever had is Peter Pan brand peanut butter. Very, very sweet, so sugary, but very, very good for baking. So I've done peanut butter cups and I've done like peanut butter cookies and whatnot, and I use Peter Pan peanut butter for that. As far as sandwiches go, Skippy is what I normally use. It's a little bit less sweet, but as far as spreads go, it is still sweet. You're not really going to find just a salty peanut butter unless you're looking for the organic, natural stuff or stuff that you can get like a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods. Stuff at like the regular supermarkets, like the stuff that kids grew up with, is very, very sugary. No Delta creams, you must remedy that. Next time I go shopping, maybe I'll pick up some. I've seen the movie Red Dog. It's beautiful but sad in parts. It sounds familiar. I don't think I have, though. I'm not sure. Um, you have to look it up. It sounds familiar. Maybe I've just heard of it and haven't seen it, but you don't need cable. There's dozens of free channels here in Australia. Good to know. I'll check that out. I have seen Muriel's Wedding. Muriel's Wedding is the best Aussie movie, in my opinion. Have you seen it? Yes, I have. Muriel's Wedding's hilarious. Mark will sometimes go around just saying you're terrible, Muriel, if I do something silly. So, yes, I have seen that movie. It's good. It's actually one of the movies we watched. Mark and I used to do date nights when we were long distance. So it was every Friday night, my time, Saturday morning, Sydney time. And we'd watch a movie together. We'd cook the same meal. It was just one of those things that we did to try to stay connected while we were long distance with like no end in sight because of COVID and the borders, which I could go on a tangent about that, but I won't. So one of the movies that we watched a ton of them. That's how I saw Star Wars for the first time, was through our date nights. But we watched Muriel's Wedding as one of our date night movies. So you don't watch free-to-air television? No. Typically what I watch is either on Netflix or Amazon Prime, once in a while, something on Disney Plus, but not that often. And Mark and I will watch like the same show. Like we'll not necessarily binge watch, but we'll watch an entire show from start to finish, like when he gets home from work and we're eating dinner and whatnot. So right now we are on Game of Thrones. We just finished Supernatural a couple weeks ago. So we're doing Game of Thrones now. We're up to season 3. And it's gone pretty quick. So I'll probably be done that in, honestly, a few weeks. We could probably do like a season a week at least. Do you like the Bega crunchy peanut butter? I don't know if I've had the crunchy. I've had smooth peanut butter. I'm not sure if it's Bega. But if I did, if it was Bega that I'm thinking of, it was pretty. Oh, the internet's doing it again. Have you seen the craziness that happens with daylight savings? If you're on the border between New South Wales and Queensland on daylight savings, you would be in 2 different time zones, 1 hour apart. Yeah, guys, it's so weirdly complex and complicated here, daylight savings. I don't know why. I wish it's something we don't get rid of in general, but it is what it is. Jiffy peanut butter versus Bega peanut butter, crunchy versus smooth. Jiffy, I grew up with Jiffy and I like sweeter peanut butter, but crunchy because I like the texture. Unless I'm using it in baking and don't want the texture, if I'm just making like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or a fluffernutter sandwich, which is peanut butter and marshmallow fluff, then I go with the crunchy peanut butter. I always watch Netflix true crime shows. There's a lot of them, and I remember you saying in a recent video how popular it is in the States. True crime is very popular in the States. It's like bizarrely popular. I don't know what the trend is, what the hype is with that. I can't really get into true crime shows. It's not like I'm creeped out or anything by them. They're just not my thing. I don't see why people find them so incredibly interesting. But that again, everyone's different. I like watching like trashy fake dating romance TV shows too sometimes. So, I mean, everyone's got their own opinion. I think Love is Blind is absolutely hilarious as far as the show goes. Is it bad TV? Absolutely, but it's one of those like guilty pleasure TV shows for me. You watch Supernatural, no wonder you haven't watched much. That has a lot of seasons. Yeah, 15 seasons of Supernatural, and we've watched it twice so far in the almost 3 years we've been together, and there will be plenty more watching, believe me. It's such a good show. It's actually Mark's favorite. 7 Plus is the online portal if you want to catch Home and Away. Good to know. Thank you. If you live in Tweed, the New South Wales border, most will still use Queensland time. That's interesting. Wonder why they would do that. Like, was it part of Queensland at some point, or was it just more convenient? Cameron Corner, a spot for New Year's Eve, celebrate New Year's Eve in 3 states, an hour apart for each. Oh, that's cool. Arnott's classic assorted biscuit products will be discontinued. I heard that. Maybe you could do a video taste test on them while you can. I look around. So here's the thing. I'm wondering, let me know, these assorted biscuits, are they biscuits that you can only get in that pack, or can you at least buy the biscuits like individually? Like if there's 6 biscuits in a pack, is like 1 or 2 of them only for that pack, or can you like at least buy packs of all 6 biscuits and still get them that way at least? If you like trashy guilty pleasure TV, then Home Away is perfect for you. Seems like be a lot of Home and Away fans here. If you like Supernatural, have you seen Buffy? No, I haven't. I want to, but I also know that's one of those shows where once I start, I'm probably going to get addicted to it and have to watch the entire thing. So let's just say I'm going to save Buffy for like a special occasion where I have a couple weeks to sit down and binge watch the entire thing. But I do want to see Buffy. Buffy and Vampire Diaries and Gossip Girl. I do want to see those. Like, I know that they're pretty long, and they're shows I would probably get really, really invested into once I see them. Another one that is insane in Australia is the different train gauges between the states. I didn't know that. I never heard of that. You can buy individual, just the mixed packs will be discontinued. Okay, so it's not like it's something where you won't be able to get any of those biscuits again, which is something at least. Yeah, maybe I'll see if I can pick up a pack of those and do like a little taste test. Have you ever done a Tim Tam Slam? Yes, I have. I absolutely love them with warm coffee. It is the best, especially the double coated ones are so good for it because the extra chocolate double coated Tim Tam Slam with like a vanilla latte. So good, you guys. That stuff is dangerous. All right, we've got 3 minutes left in the stream, you guys. Any more questions? So I'm up out there. Have you tried fruit chalks? Fruit chalks? Are they in South Wales, just South Australia? I'm not sure. I've never heard of them. I don't know if it's just South Australia. Anybody from New South Wales who knows what that is? What is my fellow Aussies and I upset with Macca's discontinuing normal Sprite, especially since they have 2 lots of ordinary Coke? Why is the question? Mark was telling me that the other day that they discontinued Sprite, and why? Like it doesn't make sense. It really does not make sense. Of all things to discontinue, why Sprite? Why not just give everybody water? Like, why even bother if that's what you're going to go for? If you're going to sit there and claim to be healthy at Macca's, no, that's no. It's my birthday tomorrow. Happy birthday, Emily. Happy early birthday. Have you seen the videos on the 1932 Emu Wars in Western Australia? Oh, I love the Great Emu Wars. That's, yeah. Even a lot of my American friends know about that. It's like weird history or something that talked about the Great Emu Wars. Dunkin' or Starbucks? Oh, that's like the toughest question you guys have asked so far. So I love Starbucks, I'll be honest. Slightly over Dunkin' because I think Starbucks tastes better. Dunkin's kind of what I grew up on more. It's what I had a lot more often. But Starbucks was that treat. Like Starbucks was that bougie drink, that drink that I would get first thing in the morning when I first started working in an office. So for me, it's Starbucks. Plus, there's a little bit more sentimentality behind going to Starbucks than there is going to Dunkin'. But for me, Starbucks. I love this chat. I feel like we're becoming best mates. Sprite is completely gone. It's now a mix of Lyft and Sprite. Been eating Macca's burgers after work quite a bit. No wonder I'm fat. Why have you been wearing headphones, or has it been for the microphone with? It's just the microphone, you guys. So the camera's like a little bit far away, but this is a new laptop and I'm not sure how well the mic works. I was trying to test it and it was saying it was at like 3% or got all the way up to 7%, but it felt like I was shouting and I wasn't sure it was going to come across that way. So I didn't want to have to fiddle with this in the middle of it. So I'm like, you know what? Let me throw my headphones on. At least I know the microphone for this works. So maybe for like the Patreon live stream, I'll try it without this and you guys can let me know if that works all right. But yeah, for this, I wanted to make sure that it was going to run smoothly, especially after last week, you guys. I'm sorry. I had no idea that YouTube makes you wait 24 hours to start a live stream. That's kind of ridiculous, especially since your channel's a little bit older. I could see if you just started a channel like a couple days before, but I've had this channel for over a year. So a little bit ridiculous, but we've worked through the technical difficulties. So thank you guys for being here. So it's 8:30. I'm going to go wrap this up. Dinner probably going to be here soon. And I'd like to spend a little bit more time with Mark before we decide to go to sleep tonight. It's been a long day. He's had a tough day too at work. So thank you guys for joining. And if you guys want to do live chats and whatnot, like I said, I'm going to be doing this once a month over on my Patreon. And I will also do this again when we hit 10,000 subscribers for sure. So I will see you guys next time. Hopefully over in Patreon, and if not, hopefully sooner rather than later at the 10,000 subscriber live Q&A. So bye guys. Have a good night. Have a good evening if you're all the way out towards like the western part of the country. So bye guys.